Subscribe to In the Beginning right now, because this episode uncovers a flood survival method so old and so effective that entire river cultures depended on it long before pumps, chemicals, or pipes existed. What you're about to hear is not folklore. It's a practical, repeatable water filtering system built from living roots and plant fibres, used when floods turn clean rivers into mud and disease spread fastest. If you care about ancient engineering, survival history, and the quiet technologies that kept people alive when infrastructure collapsed, stay with me. The ancient root filter emerged wherever floods were seasonal and unavoidable. From the Indus Valley to the Nile, from early China to riverine Europe, people learned that when water rises, it carries danger with it. Silt, waste, and decay overwhelm wells and storage jars. Boiling fuel was scarce. The solution wasn't to fight the flood, but to slow the water down and let biology do the work. Roots became tools, not just plants. What made roots effective filters was their structure and microbial partnerships. Dense root mats create physical barriers that trap sediment while allowing water to pass. More importantly, roots host biofilms, living layers of bacteria and fungi that break down contaminants. Ancient people didn't know the science, but they observed the result. Water moving slowly through roots became clearer, less foul-smelling, and, safer to drink once settled. This method was often built along riverbanks and flood channels using plants like reeds, vetiver grass, willow, papyrus and bamboo. These species were chosen because their roots grow thick, fibrous and aggressive. In flood zones, they anchor soil and survive submersion. The simplest root filter took the form of a living barrier. A shallow trench was dug parallel to the river or flood path. It was packed with bundles of roots, stems, and sometimes charcoal or sand. As water entered the trench, it slowed immediately. Heavy particles, dropped out first. As the water seeped through the roots, biological action reduced much of the organic waste. By the time it reached the other side, it was, suitable for settling and further treatment. In ancient China, records actually describe green barriers that were planted upstream of settlements. Floodwater would pass through these reed and grass belts before eventually reaching the collection ponds. These ponds, interestingly, were not filters themselves. Instead, they served as holding areas where filtered water could rest, allowing any remaining particles to settle out. Along the Nile, papyrus root beds were used in a similar way. Farmers noticed that water drawn near papyrus stands was clearer than open river water during floods. Over time, those areas became preferred collection points. This wasn't superstition. It was observation refined into practice. What's important is that root filters were never used alone. They were part of a system. Slow filtration first, settling second, and sometimes solar exposure or clay storage last. The root stage removed the biggest threats when speed mattered most. You can apply this knowledge today in emergency or off-grid conditions. The principle is simple. Water must move slowly through a dense, living or fibrous medium. If you're dealing with floodwater, never scoop directly from moving flow. Instead, divert water through a shallow channel packed with plant roots, straw, grass or reed bundles. Let gravity do the work. A practical modern setup can be built using a shallow trench or container. Line the bottom with stones for drainage. Add layers of fibrous roots or dried grasses. If available, include a thin layer of charcoal above the stones. Allow floodwater to enter from one side and exit slowly from the other. Collect the outflow and let it settle before use. This mirrors ancient methods almost exactly. In survival accounts from flooded regions, people who understood this system avoided the worst waterborne illnesses. Those who drank directly from floodwater paid the price. Knowledge, not strength, made the difference. The brilliance of the root filter is that it requires no moving parts and improves with time. As roots grow, filtration improves. As microbes establish, water quality stabilizes. This is why ancient communities maintained these systems year after year. They were infrastructure built from life itself. There is also a defensive aspect to this method. Root barriers reduce erosion and protect settlements from flood damage. By slowing water, they reduce destructive force while cleaning it. That dual purpose made them invaluable. Modern engineers now call this biofiltration or constructed wetlands. Ancient people called it survival. The science has names now, but the method hasn't changed. The deeper lesson here is that ancient flood survival relied on patience and placement. People worked with water's behavior rather than against it. They guided it, slowed it, and trusted living systems to do what tools could not. If you value this kind of grounded historical knowledge, make sure you're subscribed to In the Beginning. Share this episode with anyone interested in ancient engineering, flood survival, or real-world preparedness, and help keep these methods alive by understanding how our ancestors stayed alive when the waters rose.